I walked into our Tribeca loft that rainy Tuesday afternoon, my heels clicking like gunfire on the hardwood, and screamed at the top of my lungs that I'd been canned. Not just canned, gutted, eviscerated, tossed out like yesterday's takeout from that soul-sucking ad agency where I'd clawed my way up for 12 years.
Jake.
Oh God. Jake. They fired me. My voice cracked, raw and desperate, tears streaming hot down my cheeks as I collapsed onto the kitchen island, the marble cold against my palms. It was all bullshit. Of course. I'd staged the whole thing, faked the email from HR, printed the termination letter on company letterhead I'd swiped months ago. But the performance? Oscar-worthy. I needed to see what he'd do when the money train derailed, when his perfect little life with Amaya Reyes, the high-powered creative director, hit the buffers. He didn't come running. No frantic hugs. No, we'll fight this,
Babe.
Instead, from the study down the hall, I heard the clink of ice in a glass. Then his voice, smooth as bourbon, murmuring into his phone. Yeah, she's home early. Looks like the axe finally fell. Told you it was coming. A pause. A low chuckle that slithered under my skin like a knife.
No.
Don't worry. I've got it handled. Meet me at the usual spot in an hour. My heart slammed against my ribs. A trapped animal. We'd been married 7 years. Jake and me, high school sweethearts from the Jersey suburbs who made it big in the city. Or so I thought. He was the finance bro. Golden boy at Goldman. Pulling 7 figures while I hustled campaigns for blue-chip brands. We had the loft with the exposed brick and the rooftop garden. Weekends in the Hamptons. That effortless NYC glow where everyone envies your feed. But lately?
Cracks.
Late nights at the office bleeding into dawn. His phone buzzing with encrypted texts he swiped away like flies. Whispers from mutual friends about that new analyst he mentored. So yeah, I faked the firing. To test him. To see if he'd stand by his vows or slither out like the snake I feared he was. I wiped my face, smearing mascara into war paint, and crept toward the study door, cracked just enough to peer through. There he was, back to me, broad shoulders straining his Brooks Brothers shirt, scrolling his laptop with that predatory focus he got during deals. On the screen, not work emails. Photos. Grainy shots from years back, me, 28 and terrified, signing a plea deal in a fluorescent-lit courthouse. The fraud charges. The ones I'd confessed to. The ones that tanked my first big job at Ogilvy and left a felony scar on my record. I'd done it for him.
Jake.
Covered his ass when the SEC came sniffing about that insider trading scheme he'd cooked up with his frat boy buddies. It'll blow over. Amaya, he'd sworn, his blue eyes pleading as we huddled in our one-bedroom in Brooklyn. Take the hit. I'll make it right. We build back bigger. And I had. Swallowed the shame. The probation. The whispers. Lied to my immigrant parents in their Patterson row house about why I was starting over. All for us. The laptop chimed a new email. From her. Can't wait for tonight. Your wife's out of the picture now. Perfect. Attached, a selfie. All glossy lips and lace. Time-stamped from last week in our bed. The bed we shared. My vision tunneled. The room tilting like a bad acid trip. But I didn't burst in. Not yet. Revenge isn't a sprint. It's a goddamn marathon with pit stops for napalm. I backed away, silent as a ghost, and slipped into the bedroom to pack a go bag. By the time he emerged, whistling some Springsteen tune like he owned the world. I was curled on the couch, crying into a throw pillow. "Babe, what happened?" He knelt beside me, all concern. His cologne, that crisp Tom Ford we'd bought together in Soho, wafting like a lie. I spilled the fabricated tale, budget cuts, a jealous boss, the works. His hand rubbed my back in slow circles,
but his eyes, distant,
calculating, like he was pricing out a merger. "Hey, it's okay. We'll figure it out. You've got savings, right? And I can spot you till you land on your feet." Spot me. Like I was some broke intern hitting him up for rent. "What about us? Jake? The Hamptons place? We were gonna flip it next summer." My voice trembled for real this time.
He sighed.
That martyred exhale he did when I got emotional. Amaya. Priorities. "My bonus is tied up in this merger. It's make or break. We can't bleed cash right now."
Then,
the kicker, delivered with a kiss to my forehead, but chin up. "This could be a blessing.
Time for you too."
I don't know. Focus on yourself. Or us.
Us.
The word hung there.
Poisoned.
He left for his meeting 20 minutes later, oblivious to the AirTag I'd slipped into his wallet that morning. I watched from the window as his Audi purred down the wet street, taillights bleeding red into the puddles. My phone pinged, location shared to a dive bar in the meatpacking district, the kind with velvet ropes and bottle service. Not his usual haunt. I grabbed my keys, the rain soaking my coat as I stepped out. This test, it was failing him spectacularly. And me, I was just getting started. The bar was a haze of neon and bass-thumping EDM, bodies grinding under strobes that made everyone look like suspects in a lineup. I spotted him in a corner booth, her draped over him like a cheap fur blonde, 20-something, legs for days in a dress that screamed daddy's credit card. They were laughing, heads close, his hand on her thigh like it belonged there. I hung back by the bar, nursing a gin and tonic, invisible in the crowd. Eavesdrop mode engaged. "That finally free," she was saying, her voice a purr over the din. "No more playing house with the felon wife." Jake's laugh rumbled low. "Sure, Riley. Amaya's not a felon, she's resilient. Took one for the team back in the day." He clinked his glass to hers. "And now, with her out of the picture, we greenlight phase 2. That offshore account? It's primed. 50 mil, if we time the leak right."
Leak.
Offshore. My blood turned to ice water. Phase 2? This wasn't some affair fling. This was bigger, uglier, a sequel to the nightmare I'd buried under layers of denial and Zoloft. The insider trading had been his first rodeo, a harmless pump and dump that netted him a cool $1 before I stepped in and confessed to manipulating reports to shield him. The feds bought it. I got 18 months probation. Community service scrubbing graffiti in Red Hook. He got a slap on the wrist and a promotion.
But now?
Sounded like he'd been cooking something fresh. And I was the patsy all over again. Riley leaned in, tracing his jaw with a manicured nail. "You're ruthless,
Jake."
"It's hot. But what if she suspects? Dumps your ass before the payout?" He shrugged, sipping his scotch. "Then I walk. Clean break. Prenup's ironclad. She gets the dog and a buyout. I've got dirt on her from the old case anyway. Emails she deleted, but I archived. Insurance.
Dirt.
On me. The man I'd bled for. Built a life with. was hoarding my noose. I slammed the glass down, the bartender shooting me a look, but I was already moving out the door, into the downpour, chest heaving like I'd run a 10K. Back home, I tore into his side of the closet, rifling suits for hidden pockets, USB drives, anything. Nothing. But in the lining of his gym bag, a burner phone. Cheap and anonymous. Screen cracked but alive. Text to Riley, timelines, wire transfers, code words like ghost wire and shadow drop. And one. From 2 weeks ago, she's close. Fake the firing if you have to. Push her over the edge. Fake the firing. He'd known. Somehow, he'd orchestrated my test before I even ran it. Or was it coincidence? Paranoia clawed at me, but the evidence stacked like Jenga blocks teetering toward collapse. I wasn't just betrayed, I was played. A pawn in his chess game, sacrificed twice. Dawn crept in gray through the blinds as I sat on the bedroom floor, burner in hand, plotting my countermove. Revenge wasn't about screaming or slashing tires, it was surgical, quiet, the kind that left scars you didn't see coming. Jake wanted me broken? I'd shatter him first. But how? Start with the truth. Dig up the bones he'd buried deeper than I had. By noon, I'd called in sick to my fake unemployment, emailed my boss to keep the cover, and hit the streets. First stop, a cyber cafe in Hell's Kitchen. The kind where no one asks questions and the coffee tastes like regret. I plugged in the burner, mirrored it to my laptop, and started scraping. Riley's last name popped quick, social media sleuthing. LinkedIn gold. Riley Voss, junior analyst at his firm, fresh out of Wharton. Daddy a state senator from Connecticut. Old money. New ambition. Her posts? All gym selfies and champagne brunches, but tagged in group shots with Jake at team-building retreats in Aspen.
Sloppy.
Deeper dive. Public records. Voss family trusts. Shell companies. One pinged, a Cayman entity linked to Ghostwire LLC. Bingo. I screenshotted everything. Emailed it to a throwaway Gmail. Then, the big gun, a PI I'd used back when Jake proposed. A grizzled ex-cop named Frankie who owed me for keeping his indiscretions off a client report. Amaya? Long time. What's the play? Deep background on my husband. Financials. Affairs. Anything that smells like fraud. Discreet. Bill me double if you have to. Frankie chuckled. Gravel in his throat. For you? Triple. Give me 48. I hung up, adrenaline buzzing like bad espresso. Back at the loft. Jake texted, home soon.
Dinner? Thai?
Heart emoji. I replied with a thumbs up, then methodically wiped my traces, deleted history. Factory reset the burner. Stashed it in a lockbox under the sink. When he walked in, arms loaded with takeout bags, I was the picture of fragility, yoga pants, messy bun, eyes puffy from crying. He pulled me into a hug, murmuring sorries and it'll be okays. But I felt it, the tension in his shoulders, the way his gaze flicked to my phone on the counter. Hunting for cracks. We ate cross-legged on the floor, pad thai steaming between us, some Netflix rom-com droning in the background. You know, he said, casual as sin, twirling noodles. Maybe this is a sign. We could start fresh. Travel.
Or.
Kids. The word hung. A grenade with the pin half pulled. We'd danced around it for years, me buried in work. Him not ready.
Now?
It felt like bait.
Kids.
I echoed, forcing a smile. With me unemployed, we'd be eating ramen in a walk-up. He waved it off. Details. I make enough for both of us.
Lie.
His enough was leveraged to the hilt on crypto gambles and that Hamptons flip. But I nodded, played along, let the evening bleed into whine and whispers until he was snoring beside me, one arm slung heavy across my waist. In the dark, I stared at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, the city hum vibrating through the walls. The betrayal burned, a slow acid etch, but under it, fury, sharp and clarifying. He'd used me as his shield once, no more. Tomorrow, I'd arm myself. Frankie would deliver. And Riley? She'd be the weak link. But as sleep finally tugged, a whisper of doubt. What if this phase 2 was bigger than us? What if exposing it dragged me down too? The felony on my record wasn't sealed. One wrong move, and I'd be the villain in my own story. Screw it. Shattered glass cuts both ways. I'd make sure his drew blood first. Frankie's dossier landed in my inbox at 8:17 a.m. Thursday. A fat PDF zipped like contraband. Password trust noon. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint. Locked myself in the guest room. Our office now. Since my fake firing and Dovin. Pages of bank statements. Wire logs. Emails forwarded from dummy accounts. It was a goddamn roadmap to Armageddon. Jake's empire of shadows laid bare. The insider trading? That was amateur hour. A college prank gone pro. This new scheme? A masterpiece of malice. Algorithmic front-running. Siphoning microfractions from high-frequency trades, funneled through Riley's daddy's political PACs as consulting fees.
Million.
Laundered clean as a whistle, with Jake as the ghost in the machine. And me, buried in the footnotes. Like always. Forged timestamps on my old Ogilvy reports. Twisted to look like I'd tipped him off back then. Insurance, he'd called it. Blackmail fodder to keep me leashed. My hands shook as I printed it all, stacking sheets like evidence in a mob trial. The loft felt claustrophobic, walls closing in with the weight of 7 years' complicity. How had I missed this? The late nights? Sure. But the charm, his Jersey boy grin. The way he'd surprise me with courtside Knicks tickets or weekend drives upstate to leaf peep in the Catskills. American dream bullshit. Wrapped in red, white, and blue denial. I needed air. Bundled into a trench coat, scarf muffling my face. I hit the subway, anonymous in the crush of commuters. The A train rattling toward Midtown like my unraveling nerves. Destination, a notary on 42nd, then a storage unit in Long Island City where I'd stashed my just-in-case files from the plea deal days. Boxes of transcripts. My lawyer's notes. The psych eval where I'd lied through tears about poor judgment under stress. Dust motes danced in the fluorescent buzz as I hauled them out, cross-referencing with Frankie's haul. Patterns emerged, Jake's fingerprints on every pivot, every close call. He'd flipped on his old frat bros during the first probe, ratting them out for immunity while I played fall guy. Ruthless. And now, with Riley, it was rinse and repeat, her youth, her connections,
His brain.
a power couple forged in fraud. Back home by lunch, Jake was already gone, another client lunch in the financial district. I used the window, called my real boss at the agency, spun a tale about personal leave for a family emergency. Take what you need. Amaya, she said, voice warm with that boss lady empathy. Guilt twisted, but I shoved it down. This wasn't about work, it was survival. Next, I lawyered up, virtually, at least. A consult with Elena Vasquez, a shark from the Bronx who'd handled my probation pro bono back in the day. Video call. Her office a fortress of law tomes and faded Yankees posters. Amaya Reyes, she boomed, pixelated but fierce. Heard you climbed high. What's got you calling now? I laid it out, voice steady as I shared screens. Her brows furrowed, then arched like cathedral windows. Jesus.
Girl.
This is RICO level. If it sticks, racketeering. Money laundering.
But you?
You're radioactive. That old plea? They could drag you in as accessory after the fact. Options. I leaned into the camera, chin up. She tapped a pen. Rhythmic. Cooperation. Flip to the feds. Trade your testimony for immunity. Or go nuclear, leak to the press. Let the court of public opinion fry him first. A pause. Eyes narrowing. But Amaya, revenge like this? It eats you alive. You sure?
Was I?
The question gnawed as we wrapped. Her retainer wired from my savings. By evening, doubt was a live wire, sparking visions of Jake in cuffs, Riley scattering like roaches.
But me?
Alone in the wreckage. Resume tainted twice over. Parents' disappointed sighs echoing from Jersey.
No.
I was done being the martyr. Dinner that night was sushi delivery. Jake late again, blaming traffic. We ate in silence mostly. Him scrolling Bloomberg. Me picking at edamame. 9 miles away. You seem off, he said finally. Chopsticks pausing. Still the job thing? I met his eyes, those cornflower blues that once made me weak.
Yeah.
Just.
Processing.
What if I can't bounce back? What if this changes us? He reached across, squeezing my hand. It won't. You're tougher than anyone I know. Liar. But the touch lingered, a ghost of what we'd been. And for a split second, I wavered. What if I confronted him, laid it all bare, begged for the truth? Stupid. Mercy was for suckers. Friday blurred into reconnaissance. I tailed Riley, easy mark. Her routine as predictable as a TikTok trend. Soul Cycle at 7 a.m. Green juice at Juice Press. Then the office tower on Broad Street. I loitered in a coffee shop across the way, laptop open to dummy spreadsheets, watching her strut in Lululemon, AirPods in, oblivious. Mid-morning, she emerged with Jake, the two of them ducking into a black SUV, heading cross-down to a nondescript high-rise in Chelsea. I Ubered after, heart pounding, and parked myself in the lobby cafe, nursing an overpriced latte. They were on the 14th floor, condo listings online confirmed it, a Pied Terra owned by Voss Properties, Riley's Family LLC. Love Nest, Slush Fun Central. Hours ticked by. I sketched plans on a napkin, anonymous tips to the SEC, Dr. Docs to her daddy's campaign. But as dusk fell, the SUV pulled up again, disgorging them, flushed, laughing, her arm looped in his. They didn't see me slip out, shadow them to a cab, follow to a gallery opening in Chelsea. Art scene schmooze. All whispers and wine. Jake schmoozing donors while Riley played arm candy. I blended, black dress from the back of the closet, hair pinned up, circulating like I belonged. Overheard snippets, the funds exploding, he told a silver-haired whale. Post-election boom. Her, giggling about disrupting the status quo. Disrupting. Cute. By 10 p.m., I was buzzed on free Merlot and bile, cornering a waiter for their tab details, boss card.
Natch.
Outside, rain slicked the sidewalks, cabs honking like angry geese. I hailed one, directed it to the loft, but detoured first, a payphone in a dingy deli. Quarters clinking as I dialed Riley's cell from Frankie's trace. Voicemail. Her voice all Valley Girl lilt. Leave a message. Or don't, your loss. This is Amaya, I said. Voice modulated low. Anonymous. Wife number 1. Ask Jake about the plea deal. Or the offshore wires to your trust. TikTok.
Click.
Petty? Hell yes. But it planted the seed. A thorn in their paradise. Home was dark. Jake's note on the fridge, crashing at the office gym, merger crunch. Love you. Bullshit. I poured his scotch, and scrolled the dossier again. Landing on the twist, a subfolder labeled contingency. Memos to a fixer in Miami. Payoffs to witnesses from the old case. And one name, Marcus Hale. My ex from college. The one who'd ghosted after the scandal. But wait, Hale was Jake's roommate freshman year at Rutgers. Had he bought Marcus off too? To keep me isolated. Loyal? The web tightened. Suffocating. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of courtrooms and handcuffs. Saturday dawned brutal. Hangover pounding like a bass line. Jake stumbled in at noon. Gym bag slung. Smelling of hotel soap. Rough night, he groaned, collapsing onto the couch. I brought him coffee. Sat beside him. Hand on his knee, testing the waters. Tell me about her, I said softly. Casual as brunch plans. His eyes snapped open. Her who? Riley. The analyst. Don't bullshit me.
Jake.
I followed you. Silence stretched, taut as a wire. Then, slow exhale, Amaya. It's not what you think. But his face, crumpled paper, lies folding in on themselves. Okay. Fine. It's an affair. Stupid. Emotional. The stress, the merger, your job stuff. I screwed up. Emotional.
Right.
I laughed, bitter as black coffee. The merger. Or the money, the leaks, the accounts. How long? Jake? Since the beginning? He bolted up. Color draining. What do you know? Enough. I stood. Inches from him. The air electric. You used me. Again. The firing? You pushed for it. Didn't you? Knew my boss through your golf buddies. Whispered in ears. Paranoia or truth? His flinch said truth. I was protecting us. You were cracking.
Babe.
Sniffing too close. This way. Clean break. Clean? I shoved him. Hard. Chest to chest. You archived my emails. Planned to frame me if I walked. For what? Her?
Million?
Us. He grabbed my wrists. Not rough, but firm, that old possessive grip. Listen. It's bigger than that. The feds are circling again, old ghosts. If I don't deliver, we both go down. Riley's my out. Our out.
Our.
The word twisted like a knife. Was he lying? Or had I been blind to the storm clouds? He pulled me close, breath hot on my neck. Forgive me. We fixed this together. Like always. I let him hold me, body rigid, mind racing. Forgive,
No.
but play along?
Yes.
As we tumbled into bed, his apologies murmured against my skin. I plotted the kill shot. The climax was coming, confrontation at the Voss fundraiser next week. All power players in one room. I'd leak the docs mid-toast. Watch the empire crumble. But as he moved over me, urgent and familiar, doubt flickered. What if he was right? What if pulling the thread unraveled us both? The betrayal cut deep. But the gray? It blurred the edges. Made monsters of us all. The week crawled by like a hangover you couldn't sweat out. Every interaction with Jake a minefield of half-truths and loaded glances. Monday. He confessed, moreover takeout falafel from that spot in the village, admitted the affair was 6 months old, blamed the merger's pressure cooker, swore Riley was a distraction, not the destination. I love you, Amaya, he said, eyes glassy, from the 3rd glass of Malbec. Always have. It's fixable. I nodded, murmured agreements. Let him think he'd reeled me back in. Inside, I was a powder keg. Fuse lit. Counting down to the Voss Gala Friday night at the Metropolitan Museum. Black tie schmooze fest. Senators and CEOs toasting bipartisan innovation. Jake's big reveal for the fund. Riley's daddy presiding. My stage. Elena called Tuesday. Voice clipped over the line from her Chambers Street office. Feds are interested. Anonymous tip panned out. They're auditing the pack. But Amaya, they want your sit down. In person. No games. Schedule it, I said, staring out at the Hudson from our balcony. Barges chugging like weary commuters. After the gala. Leverage. She hesitated. This husband's got layers. Wire transfers to a PI, your PI. Frankie? He's on payroll. Watching you. Chills prickled. Frankie? The grizzled fuck. I'd trusted him. Poured the retainer like trust. Cut him loose, I snapped. And send muscle if you have to. By Wednesday, paranoia was my shadow, checking door locks twice, scanning Ubers for tails, sleeping with a kitchen knife under the pillow. Jake played the penitent husband to perfection. Flowers from the market on Bleecker. A couple's massage booked at that spa in Soho. Even a playlist of our old songs, Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Jersey anthems that used to make us dance in the kitchen. Remember Patterson, he'd say, pulling me close during a slow one. You in that sundress. Me promising the world. Yeah. I remembered. And how he delivered it gift wrapped in deceit. But crack showed. Thursday night. Post-massage glow fading. He got a call, burner vibe. Stepped into the bathroom. I pressed my ear to the door. Catching fragments. She's buying it. Galas go. No loose ends. Riley. Her voice. Tinny through the wood. My blood boiled. But I waited. Slipped out to the hall when he emerged. Feigning a migraine to crash early. In the dark, I texted Elena, bug the gala. Live stream if it blows. Friday dawned crisp. Autumn bite sharpening the air as leaves skittered down West Street. I spent the day prepping like a soldier. Black gown from Bergdorf's consignment rack, slinky silk that hugged like a second skin, hair in a sleek chignon, makeup minimal but fierce, red lips like war paint. Jake whistled when he saw me. Tux crisp from the cleaners.
Damn.
Reyes. You're killing it. Irony. Thy name is husband. The gala was a glittering viper pit, temple of Dender bathed in golden light. Egyptian gods staring down at the elite as they air-kissed and name-dropped. Senator Voss held court by the reflecting pool. Riley at his elbow in emerald chiffon, her smile ablaze. Jake worked the room like a pro. Handshakes firm. Laughs booming. Me on his arm as the devoted wife. Amaya, the powerhouse behind the scenes, he'd say, winking. Powerhouse. If only they knew. Halfway through cocktails, champagne flutes clinking like conspiracies, I excused myself to the ladies. Detouring to the coat check. My drop a USB drive. Slim as a credit card. Labeled Donation Records Voss Pack. Inside, Frankie's dossier. Scrubbed of my prints. Time-stamped to Jake's emails. The attendant, a bored 20-something, pocketed my 20 spot and slid it into Voss's mink with a nod.
Tick-tock.
Back in the fray. Tension coiled tight as a spring. Jake proposed a toast at 9 p.m. Up on the dais with Voss. Riley beaming beside. To innovation, he boomed. Glass raised. And the bold few who bet on tomorrow. Cameras flashed. Applause rippled. I sipped water, clear-headed for the fallout, when Voss's phone buzzed. His face shifted, jovial to jaundiced in a heartbeat. He stepped aside, barking into it low, Riley trailing like a worried puppy. Then, chaos bloomed. Whispers first, SEC. Audit. Then a murmur swelling to a wave. Voss stormed the stage, yanking Jake's mic. What the hell is this? Reynolds? Leaks? My campaign? Jake paled. Sputtering denials. But the room was a tinderbox. Phones out. Videos rolling. Guests scattering like roaches at dawn. Riley spun on him. Shriek shrilling. You said it was clean, Daddy. He's the one. I stood frozen by a sarcophagus. Heart thundering. The gray swallowing me whole. This was it, the climax. My revenge uncoiling like smoke. Jake's eyes found mine across the melee. Not fury, but pleading? Betrayal's mirror. Voss's security muscle, big guys in ill-fitting suits, grabbed Jake's arms, cuffing him casual as a valet park. You're coming with us. No cops yet, but close. Riley sobbed into her clutch. Glaring daggers my way, she'd gotten my voicemail.
Pieced it.
You bitch, she mouthed. And damn if it didn't sting. A little. Sirens wailed distant.
Closing in.
Elena texted. Feds en route. Get out. I slipped toward the exit, heels silent on marble. But Jake broke free, lunging through the crowd. Amaya, wait. His tux rumpled. Face slick with sweat. He caught my elbow in the shadowed hall. You did this. Why? Breath ragged. I yanked free.
Why?
You built this on my bones.
Jake.
The plea. The lies, you framed me twice. For her. For money. I'm done being your shield. His laugh was broken glass. Framed? I saved us. The first time, yeah. I panicked, but you agreed.
And now?
The feds were coming anyway, tips from inside.
Not me.
I was pulling us out. Clean. With Riley's help. She flipped first. Ratted to save her ass. Flipped. The word detonated. Doubt crashed in. Had I been the villain all along? Orchestrating ruin on whispers? Liar. I hissed. But my voice wavered. Check your phone, he urged.
Desperate.
The real burner, in my wallet. Text from her to the SEC. Dated last week. Time fractured. Voss's goons rounded the corner. Barking orders. I bolted. Into the night. Gala lights blurring to streaks as I ran, blocks to the park. Lungs burning. Collapsing on a bench by the reservoir. Pulled his wallet from my clutch, swiped it in the scuffle, and the phone tumbled out. Passcode. Our anniversary. Messages glowed accusatory. Riley to anonymous. Reynolds is dirty. Insider trades. Fronts. Nail him.
Timestamp, Monday.
Holy shit. She'd played us both, seduced Jake for access. Then sold him out to climb her own ladder. Daddy's legacy be damned. My revenge? It had accelerated her hit, lit the fuse she already sparked. Jake innocent? No. Still a schemer, but not the soul snake. And me? The catalyst. Hands as bloody as theirs in the gray. Cops swarmed the museum behind me, blues flashing erratic. I deleted the phone, smashed it under my heel, fragments crunching like my vows. Walk away, or double down. Elena's car pulled up, black sedan. Headlights dipping.
Get in, she called.
I did, the door slamming like judgment. The sedan hummed through Central Park West. Elena at the wheel. Her profile sharp against the dashboard glow, equal parts guardian and grim reaper. Feds want you at Foley Square. Dawn, she said. No preamble. Full debrief. Immunity's on the table if you deliver Jake, and Riley. If she cracks. I stared out at the silhouettes of joggers and dogwalkers. The city that never slept now a restless beast mirroring my gut. And if I don't, if I let it burn without me, she snorted, merging onto the FDR. Then your ash too. Obstruction. Conspiracy, that old plea, it's a welcome mat for them. Silence stretched, the East River glittering black below us. What's eating you?
Amaya?
This was your play. Your play, I corrected, voice hollow. I pulled the trigger, but Riley loaded the gun.
Jake.
He was dirty, yeah, but not the mastermind. Just a mark in her game. Elena's glance flicked over. Assessing. Doesn't absolve him.
Or you.
World's gray. Kid, get used to it. Question is, you want to be the one holding the match. Dawn broke bloody over the federal building. Coffee bitter in styrofoam as I spilled it all. Dossiers. Timelines. The gala implosion. The agent. A no-nonsense Fed named Torres with a Bronx accent thick as fog. Nodded along. Recorder whirring. You've got stones. Reyes. Testifying against your own? That's leverage. But his eyes? Wary. Weighing if I was canary or crocodile. By noon, Jake was in holding, arraigned on fraud counts. Bail denied pending flight risk. Riley, singing like a canary in a separate room. Trading Jake's head for her freedom. Daddy's lawyers circling like vultures. Voss, under subpoena. His pack frozen. Headlines screaming Senator's slush fund scandal. The press frenzy hit like a nor'easter. TMZ with gala footage of Jake's takedown. CNBC dissecting the trades. Even the post splashing, wife's revenge or a rat race, with my yearbook photo blurred for anonymity. But leaks spring eternal. By evening, my name was out. The felon wife turned whistleblower. Texts flooded. Mom's sobbing voicemails from Patterson.
Mia.
What happened? Old colleagues ghosting. New ones sniffing for quotes. I holed up in Elena's brownstone in Harlem. Spare room with a lumpy futon and views of the Apollo Theater marquee flickering like false hope. Jake's lawyer called that night. A silk stocking type from his firm. He wants to see you. No recordings. Against Elena's hiss of trap. I went. The visitor's room at MCC was a sterile box, plexiglass divider. Phones greasy from desperate hands. Jake looked smaller in the jumpsuit, stubble shadowing his jaw. But those eyes still blew fire. Amaya, he breathed, picking up the receiver. You came. Curiosity, I said.
Flat.
Or masochism. Take your pick. He leaned in, voice low. Riley set us up. From the jump, her old man wanted my algo for his re-election war chest.
Clean or not?
She seduced me, recorded everything. The SEC tips? Hers. I was scrambling to protect you when you lit the match. I gripped the phone tighter. Protect? By archiving my emails? Planning my frame-up? Contingency, he admitted, wincing.
Fear.
You were sniffing too close. I thought you'd bolt. Take the savings. Leave me holding the bag. But I never would have pulled the trigger.
Not on you.
Lies or love. The gray swallowed us. No black and white absolution. And the first time, the plea, you ratted your bros. Left me twisting. He nodded.
Slow.
Cowardice. But I rebuilt us, the loft. The life.
For you.
A beat.
Raw.
What now? You testify. I'm done, 20 plus. We could have run. Amaya. Cayman. Fresh start.
Run.
The word dangled. Temptation wrapped in treason. And become what? Partners in paradise. Built on bones?
No.
This ends. Tears tracked his cheeks. I love you. Still. I hung up, the click echoing like a guillotine.
Love.
The dirtiest four-letter word. Weeks blurred. Testimony prepped. Media hounds bang at Elena's door. Riley cut a deal. Probation. Community service. Her Wharton polish intact. Daddy's pulling strings. Voss resigned in disgrace. But whispers of a comeback lingered. Politics' eternal resurrection. Jake pleaded out to 10 years. White-collar wing at Otisville. Weekends for visitors if I chose. I didn't. The twist hit like vertigo. 2 months post-gala. Over coffee with Torres in a diner off Houston. Greasy spoons and all-day breakfast. Pure New York grit. Loose end, he said, sliding a folder. That PI. Frankie? Not on Jake's dime. Hired by Riley, insurance on you. But here's the kicker. Your fake firing email?
Traced to her IP.
She hacked your work account. Planted the whisper to your boss. Pushed you to break first.
Me?
The test subject in her experiment. I'd fake the firing to test Jake. But she'd engineered the push. Betting it'd fracture us. Expose his cracks. No one villain. Just a daisy chain of deceit. Me, Jake, Riley. All complicit in the collapse. So, who's the monster? I asked. Voice ash. Torres shrugged. Forking eggs. Pick one. Or none. Court don't care about souls. I walked out into spring rain. Softer than winter's bite. The city reborn in green. Job offers trickled, consulting gigs. True crime podcasts hungry for my story. Mom forgave over arepas in Jersey. Her hug fierce. You survived.
Mia.
That's the win. But nights? Sleepless. Replaying Jake's I love you. Riley's glare. My own hand on the USB. Revenge delivered catharsis. Sure, a Pyrrhic blaze that warmed but scarred. Happy ending? If reclaiming my name counted. Yeah, Amaya Reyes, unbowed, rewriting her script. But tragic too. The what-ifs haunting like ghosts, the life we torched. The gray where right bled into wrong. Readers, you'd argue it over beers. Was I hero or heel? Avenger or accelerant? Hell if I know. But as I stepped onto the subway, bound for a fresh start in Brooklyn, loft sold, dog adopted out, bones finally my own, I felt the weight lift. Just a fraction. Shattered?
Completely.
But shards make mosaics. Fierce and fractured. And mine? It gleamed, ready for whatever came next. In the end, no winners, just survivors. Picking through the rubble. Debating the ruins. That's the American way. Messy. Merciless. And endlessly debatable.